Fear is the enemy of the dream. 12 years ago, our nation began by opposing oppression. The Declaration of Independence was thought to be the solution which would bring freedom to all Americans. Here we are, 224 years later, and it is not so. 17 years ago, our president was a man of morals, of principles. He was a man placed in that position for a purpose, to give our nation the Emancipation Proclamation. He believed this would bring freedom to Black Americans. Here we are 157 years later, and our country continues to painstakingly prove that non-slave is worlds apart from free in its fullest sense. 17 years ago, God raised up a man named for his father, shared his dream with us in our nation's capital. A year later, the Civil Rights Act was passed. During Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, we were entrusted with his dream. Here we are 57 years later. Do we seek it? Do we strive for it? Have we focused and persisted? Too few have been left to seek and strive and focus and persist alone, relegated to the marginalia, slated for ignoring or even erasing. When did we become a nation of fear? When did the police become so afraid? Has it always been this way? Black people have been afraid, understandably. For hundreds of years, for the whole history of America the broken, these men and women have suffered. Just in the last 56 years, Black Americans have been permitted to become our neighbors, classmates, friends, lovers, colleagues. Is the dream a reality yet? Has it come to fruition yet, having been birthed by our labor? I think not. Why are those with authority afraid? Yes, they do a dangerous job. Yes, they've been shot at and threatened. They spend their days on high alert, ready for fight or flight. These days, it's more often fight. What went so wrong? Was it in training? Was it experiences on the job? Black Americans also spend their days on high alert, ready for fight or flight. Yet it's often not just on the job, it's as civil servants. Black Americans have fear as citizens. These days, both fight and flight end the same way, in death. As white people, we have freed Black Americans from slavery and sold them into indentured servitude to the comfort of white America. When will it be enough? When will the content of character suffice? How long does white America need to be coddled? I say that time is here. The debt has been paid, the debt they never owed. The time has been here for hundreds of years. This penalty, this perceived and fictitious debt which white Americans carry in our hearts, is collected on by the greatest enemy of love, fear. The content of our character of late is fear. Fear inspires our worst actions, our anger, our violence. Fear that it's kill or be killed. Fear causes us to become proactive, go on the offensive, to take control. The only thing acting is fear. The only thing we find offensive is fear. The only thing in control is fear. Video accountability has opened our eyes more and more, yet that is just another kind of fear. Fear of being caught or seen at our worst. Fear that our worst is unforgivable. From Black Americans, there is fear as well. Fear that white Americans will never be comfortable. Fear that this servitude will never end. We cannot remain as pawns of fear, both us and them. There is no winner, only fear. Maybe instead of us and them, it can be we, us all. Maybe we can all admit our fears. Maybe we can hear our fears. Naming takes away its power. Maybe we can all be vulnerable in both the sharing and in the listening. I have fear now. Fear that it will always be this way. Fear that nothing will change. I could live in that fear. Let it be my motivation. Let it consume me until I don't know life without it. But maybe we can choose something other than fear. We can choose faith and hope and love. I choose these. I give my fear to God, my Creator. I offer it to Him for transformation. Fear is the pavement on the road toward death. Death of freedom, death of truth, death of beauty, death of goodness. So I ask for faith and hope and love to take the place of fear. I practice those virtues imperfectly, but at least it's me and not the fear acting now. We can choose the way of life together. The season must change from summer to autumn. Let fear wither and die. Let that branch be pruned from our tree. Its only fruit is death, and we can no longer be content with that. This autumn will be one of freedom and equality. Things have changed, but not enough. We have kept Black Americans the victims of unspeakable horrors of police brutality. We have kept Black Americans from places to which white Americans have access. We have kept Black Americans excluded from neighborhoods and cities through more subtle deterrents. Instead of rocks and bricks through windows, we don't even let Black Americans move in. Real estate agents don't show those houses, or banks don't fund those families. The signs for whites only have been taken down, but those signs remain in a more subtle way. Black Americans continue to be stripped of their selfhood and robbed of their dignity. On freedom, on respect, on the benefit of the doubt, on trust, on a listening ear, I see built-in signs which read for whites only. Although we don't have the signs to point to any longer as tangible proof, now we have videos. We have the visible action as proof enough. Black Americans can now vote in Mississippi and in New York, but new, more subtle barriers have been put in place. Voter ID legislation causes Black Americans to remain potential voters and never be actualized. We should not be satisfied. I dream for Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream. His dream is better than any I could dream up. I have not lived on the receiving end of racism, so I defer to him. I defer to his wisdom. I defer to his peace. I defer to his faith. I urge everyone to read his inspired words again, reflect on his dream, and then take action.